What is up, guys? Sam for the Madden YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to show you guys a 2x2 under center spread play that can beat both the Tampa 2 and the cover 4 drop defenses for one play scores. And I like to call it Portland Mesh. But before we get into the video, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you guys take the time to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the uploads coming your way here on the Madden YouTube channel. If you guys want to watch me play Madden live, you guys can find me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ZanMadden. The link is below in the description, as is a link to my ebook bundle. If you guys are looking for a way to finish the Madden 20 season on a different note, you guys can check out my Washington offense out of the single back wing tight U, wing tight, and wing tight Z, as well as my full comprehensive 3-4 bear, in which I show you guys how to stop all the popular runs, stop rollout corners, and lock down the field with unique coverage concepts. Over 35,000 snaps spent in the 3-4 bear since the beginning of the year. This is a defense that I have a lot of pride in, and it's something that has done me very, very well in the Madden 20 season. You guys can unlock over 3 hours of content at my PayHip account below. Make sure to check the link in the description. Okay, guys, without further ado, let's get into the topic of today's discussion. We're going to be talking about a little 2x2 under center play in the West Coast offense. As I mentioned, this is one of the 2 playbooks I'm kind of mixing in as I finish the year. It is very, very difficult to pass in 2x2 spread, whether it's shotgun or under center. I think that the spread in general is pretty difficult, but as we refamiliarize ourselves with route combinations that beat different zone coverages with Madden 21 in mind, you have to consider that the beta feedback was that the zone coverage was a lot more lax than what we see in Madden 20. Kind of put that in tandem with the fact that there are different pass rushing abilities and mechanics now. It's not just pass rush elite, edge threat elite. Might have a little bit more time in the pocket in Madden 21, despite those pass rushing moves that are coming in with the new user pass rush control. So wanted to kind of get back to basics a little bit as we hit the tail end of the Madden 20 season and talk about some route combinations that are very, very good against base coverage calls, because early in the year, that's what you tend to see: base man, base zone, whether it be cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, matching principles. So beginning of the year and end of the year, depending on what game you're playing, are really good times to get yourself refamiliarized with base concepts. So 2x2 spread, West Coast offense, we're going to be running the play slot option. Now, this play is actually a choice concept. It's an option route for both of your slot receivers. One is actually a tight end. If you take a look, this is actually 11 personnel, meaning 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 receivers on the field. But it is a man coverage beating option play. So if I were to face just straight up man coverage, sorry, that's not man coverage. Let me go ahead and check into a man coverage call here. If you were to face just generic man coverage when you run this play, you're going to see that those option routes will do you pretty well, assuming you have any short route running whatsoever. So here in this example, rather than running the hitches, you're going to notice that Snead and Boyle should both cut on their route to create separation against the man that's guarding them. So you see how that is done by both players. Y was definitely open on that play, and unfortunately the tight end was unable to beat his man on his route as well. So this play by default is intended to be a man beater, in terms of the option routes. And you'll notice that if you get wide receivers in at both slot receiver positions, you should get those results, or at least if you have a better player in terms of, running that option route, you should notice it. Here you see Snead, for instance, he runs his out cut as well. Gets a little bit of better separation, but it's still on the short side of the field, so that's a tight throw. Anywho, slot option. We're actually going to turn this into a play that I like to call Portland Mesh, because it's basically 2 concepts combined. So you'll notice that we have a post route on one side and we have a deep in route on the other. That's known as a Portland concept. If you actually go into your concepts tab here and you go to passing concepts and you go to deep concepts, you'll notice that Portland is a post on one side and a dig on the other. So this play has a built-in Portland concept on the outside to both of your flanker receivers. I'm sorry, both your split end receivers. And then on the inside, we're going to create a mesh, which is designed to just give you check down options underneath against your base zone coverages. So let's talk about Portland. Portland is actually a concept that's great for beating cover 4, because the design of the play is for the in route to pull both of the deep zone defenders on that short side of the field down on the dig. And then you're hoping for your burner on the post to work his way over the top of those zones as he crosses from the wide side of the field to the short side of the field. Now, underneath, I like to create a meshing concept. This is great because one, if they're blitzing, that's a quick check down over the middle to the left or the right against an edge blitz. And two, if the play develops long and you get some of those flat zones backing up, it's a good check down on both sides of the field. Now, if they're playing drop zone coverage, your whips are going to be less open, but they still serve as a nice pull route for those zones underneath as well. So they're either a check down, a hot read, or a pull for your dig. Now, the dig is also a pull route for your post. So what I wanted you to watch on this play is how Seth Roberts over here is going to pull both deep zones on his side of the field down, and that's going to open up Hollywood Brown over the top. We've talked about the Portland concept before here on the channel. You're going to see exactly what I mean, how he just works all the way over the top, and we pass lead it to that short side of the field for the one-play score. So the Portland concept is very, very good. I prefer it with your best receiver on the wide side of the field running to the short side of the field. If I wanted to, I could flip this and try it the other way. The results may vary depending on the speed of your receiver, the throw power of your quarterback. You see right there that the safety on the wide side of the field, that inside safety bites back, which takes this play a little bit longer to develop. So if you take a look at this and you run this to the wide side of the field, it's not that it won't get open. It will. It's just going to take longer because he's got to really, really work over the top. And you see that throw is a lot tougher going to the wide side of the field from the short side than vice versa. So I prefer to stick with my Portland concept with the post on the wide side of the field pre-snap. And that's just really going to allow me to throw it to the short side of the field. You notice how both those guys bite, and then we're able to throw this outside pass lead considerably more open when you run it wide to short with the post. Now, if I put the ball in the other hash and I flip this play, so let's go ahead and do that here. If I flip this play, you're going to notice that it has the same effect. So this is all about how labbing is important. You have to test your route combinations on both the short and the wide side hash marks, flipped and unflipped as well. So now when you see it this way, you're going to watch Hollywood Brown pull his guys, and you're going to be able to throw that same X post over the top. You see how open that was if the pass rush hadn't gotten to us. So, when you run this, just kind of be aware of your hash marks. Really important to remember when you run this. But we'll go ahead and get Seth Roberts open. I'm going to step up into this throw, pass lead over the top. You could see that it was open if not for the pass rush. So that is how you're going to beat your cover 4 defense on this. Now, again, keep in mind that you're running a mesh over the middle. So if your opponent overuses the middle of the field and they vacate, don't be afraid to take your checkdowns, quick over the middle if they're giving you 6, 7, 8, 9 yards over in the middle because they're not playing close to the line of scrimmage. These are routes that are going to serve not only as checkdowns, but also as pull routes as well for the dig. So you notice how that dig is really open at that second level of the field due to the meshing underneath. So the mesh is great because typically speaking, they're going to be working underneath against the blitz, but also if they're playing any type of soft base zone call, those meshing concepts pull down those hook zones and give you this throw over the middle where your opponent needs to be. So your opponent either needs to be on the dig route or they need to be on the drags. One is going to be opening up the other in that high-low read over the middle. Now, of course, a great lurker in the middle of the field can be problematic. So just kind of be aware if your opponent has great user skill, that's always something to consider as well when you run this. But again, you can also see that from time to time, that drag can, outflank some of these zone coverage linebackers as well. So pay attention, especially on the wide side of the field against cover 4. That drag running from the short side of the field with a nice little up pass lead can be pretty good if you can turn the corner on a guy like that. Now, obviously, Willie Snead is Willie Snead. It's not one of the best rack guys in the league, but just pay attention to your route combination underneath. It's always something that you should be looking to utilize is that mesh concept, especially if they're playing cloud flat zones underneath where they're going to give you that drag for 7, 8 yards. Also keep in mind that while rack yardage is brutal in Madden 20, pass leading on drags in Madden 21 beta proved to be very valuable. You could take your underneath all day long. That was part of the reason people complained about how zones worked in this game. And this, rather than being 3 yards here in this example, is going to be 7, 8, 9 yards in Madden 21. So refamiliarize yourself with the mesh concept. That is something you cannot afford to give up consistently in Madden 21 by passing on those throws. You're going to want to take those underneath, especially with a lot of players that are going to be focusing on your zone drops. They're going to be dropping their cloud flats to 20 yards to defend against corner routes. Get yourself into a habit now, even if it's only 5, 6 yards with your drags now. Get yourself in the habit of taking that read as it's afforded to you late in Madden 20 as you're preparing for 21. Now, we've shown you how this works against cover 4. Let's go ahead and show it to you against your Tampa 2. I like this against Tampa 2 as well. It's a very, very good route combination against your cover 2 defense. And again, we're going to work the post from the wide side of the field to the short side of the field. So with this play, again, we're going to be running the mesh underneath and the Portland concept over the top. With this particular post, you want to be quick with it. You really want to make sure that you're throwing this ball before the deep half safety bites back. So here in this example, I'm going to show you what I mean. Watch how that safety kind of bites down, and you're going to want to throw that pass lead over the top. Now, right there, I actually led that too far to the short side safety. I'm sorry, the wide side safety. I could have led that over the top a little bit better in this regard. So again, if you know how to cut block, we're slide protecting away from the edge rusher, double teaming the interior lineman, allowing the edge to come free, and then we cut his legs out, then we can roll out and throw that ball all the way back over the top of that cover 2 safety for the 1-play score. So this will beat cover 2 as well, but you don't have to roll the pocket if you don't want to. You actually can stay home here and make this work. You can stay right in the pocket, provided the pass rush is not getting home. You can throw your dig routes as well and step into your post throws. Notice how the deep dig route on the sideline actually widens out the safety. Watch Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's this safety with the star on the left. Watch how he widens out to respect Seth Roberts on this deep in route. You notice the ball spotted on the 30. It's about a 16-yard dig route. Very, very good route. Gets behind the yellow zones, but stays in front of the deep zones, which allows you to really load up on this throw. So the width of that deep half safety, Minkah Fitzpatrick, is what makes that post get open, because we have a vertical enough dig to widen him out towards the sideline. So this is going to work very similar against cover 2 and cover 4. You're still going to have your meshing concepts underneath. The one thing, though, is that obviously the drags are not going to be as good against the cover 2, because those outside corners can rally down on those throws. So realistically, if you're facing a lot of cover 2, something you could do to get a little bit of a quicker development into the flats is, rather than crossing the middle, kind of whip them. That's going to give you a little bit of a quicker check down. So you see right here, we're going to run this whip, and then you can throw that out in the flat for about 3 or 4 yards. Again, thinking in mind of, while it's only 3 or 4 yards in Madden 20, it's going to be 5, 6, 7 in Madden 21. So getting yourself into good habits, as JJ Watt is wrecking me. You see how that whip and I actually waited to throw that post, but you see how that whip to the slot on the right got open. I just had to hold on to the ball because JJ Watt got a really good animation off the edge. Again, kind of reinforcing what I said at the beginning of the video of how pass rush in Madden 20 was just so good that it was really problematic. But you can see right there, 4 or 5 yards against a cloud flat underneath in this 2x2 whip. The other thing that's great about whip routes is if you have high enough route running, those can really do a great job against man coverage. You see right here how it's working against that zone linebacker, how I can throw that ball out there up pass lead pretty easily. So you're going to get results against your vertical hook zones as well when you run it this way. Another thing that right now late in the year you could do, we don't have it on this quarterback, but playmakering those whip routes is really, really nice. So you see right there the little highlight that happened underneath the A receiver. Right there, because I didn't have quarterback playmaker or the actual playmaker Kim on that receiver, he didn't respond. But you'll definitely notice that if you put QB playmaker, this is going to allow you to kind of use this whip route as an option, kind of a middle of the field. You read it yourself and tell him to find the open grass type of feel. So if you don't like that work, you see right here how he lights up, and he just didn't respond and go the spot of the field that you wanted him to. But you can playmaker him up the seam if you want after he whips to the outside. So depending on what they're calling, that QB playmaker on either of those whips can be really, really valuable. You notice a lot of players that do it at a bunch, like right here, to be able to run this whip and then playmaker him, either up into this area of the field or back over the middle right here, depending on how it's read. That's a really valuable ability that you can have. It's going to help open up this play. So you don't necessarily have to run the mesh concept is what I'm saying. If you're facing a lot of cover 2 and those drags aren't getting you anywhere, they're covering the middle of the field, going with double whips can be pretty valuable for yourself. So again, you can kind of see right here, there's the whip, and then you can kind of throw that ball out underneath, up pass lead. I do think pocket lead might be a valuable tool as well as you're getting yourself refamiliarized with these short throws. That's an ability that a lot of players ignored because they felt like in terms of the medium to deep passing range wasn't as valuable for them this year. But in general, that's another bad pass lead right there. You want to pass lead that over the middle. But in general, this is something that I think that you guys can get yourself back into a rhythm with, especially if you're just trying to get yourself off of the Madden 20 meta, thinking towards next year's game. I do think that is extremely, extremely valuable. And it's something that you should be using to get yourself ready for next year. So while this video kind of dumbs it down a little bit, I do think it's going to refresh your minds a little bit. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints. Post them below. We'll see you guys tomorrow with our next video. Until then, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.